Hey there, did you know that food actually helps with anxiety? Now, it's not a replacement for broad treatment of a real severe clinical anxiety, but it can help with that daily anxiety, and it's really part of a holistic approach to defeating anxiety for good. It's funny that we often put a lot of thought into doing things to improve the way we look, right? Maybe even improve our immune system, but anxiety is something that is so simple to combat with proactive habits just as much as anything else that we're working on. Maybe this episode should be why you should be proactive instead of foods that help with anxiety. But today we're going to dive into some critical nutrients that you can seek out proactively in your diet and other foods that help with anxiety. Welcome. If this is your first time listening, I'm Audrey Christie. I'm a functional and integrative nurse nutritionist and energy medicine practitioner. I help women stop chasing symptoms, find relief, and ultimately learn how to heal their bodies from autoimmune disease. I like to call it the autoimmune revolution, right? When you're tired of being a warrior, you're ready to revolt and become an autoimmune conqueror. Here's the deal. We often put so much thought into doing things regularly to boost our immune system, thinking about what we're going to wear, how we're going to work out. We know the necessary items that are present in our diet and lives to change these things, to fix our wardrobe, to fix our workout schedule, all of those things, right? We know the necessary items and we know when to boost them in specific times of the year, right? So maybe your workout regimen increases in preparation for summer. Maybe you start to slow it down in preparation for winter, just as an example. But for the overwhelm and the anxiety that comes with daily life, often we just quit, right? We think it's a natural way of living. And I like to look deep into where energy medicine and nutrition and traditional medicine merge, right? In order to find solutions for root causes of anxiety. So today we're going to get a little weird, right? We're going to talk about the nutrients, but we're also going to heavily dive into the energy work, right? So in a lot of traditional medicinal shamanism type things, our kidneys are our body's central source of yin and yang, particularly in traditional Chinese medicine, right? And so when our kidneys aren't functioning optimally, there are lots of other health problems, right? And they might not be health problems that would send you to the doctor necessarily, but a little hiccup in your kidney system can cause a lot of other issues that conventional medicine often doesn't trace back to the kidneys, okay? And that's not wrong. It's just conventional medicine is there to help us when things get bad, when it's an acute problem. Okay, but when you have kidney problems, when they're not functioning optimally, bear with me there, other health problems, including anxiety, start to bubble up to the surface. And the world we live in today takes a significant toll on our kidneys, whether we know it or not. These issues can be small enough, again, to go undiagnosed by physicians, but still have substantial impact on the rest of our body, especially on our day-to-day lives, right? Factors like stress, poor sleep quality, environmental toxins, alcohol, those can all be extremely taxing on the kidneys, and those little power packs that sit on top of the kidneys, right? Those power packs are called your adrenal glands, and there's an adrenal episode I'll link to in the show notes. So energetically, the adrenal glands and the kidneys are the same organ, even though if you listen to that adrenal or watch the adrenal episode, you know that they're not the same organ, right? They're the two little glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they are responsible for the production and regulation of a lot of essential hormones, including those involved in the stress response. So when the adrenal glands become overworked, right, whether it's from too much stress, lack of sleep, or any of those other factors that I mentioned, they don't function normally, right? What we have is a resulting adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue then kind of cascades into a whole lot of other symptoms, right? Including insomnia and sadness and digestive problems and a weak immune system, autoimmune triggers, autoimmune flares, and anxiety, right? So you can work with those kidneys, and especially the energy of the kidneys, to restore the function of the adrenal glands, both energetically and physically. You can do that through foods. You can do that through energy work. You can do that through all sorts of things. And it helps to ease the symptoms, and for some people makes it go away altogether. Again, not a substitute for medical care. This is part of a holistic approach, right? So feeding your kidneys optimally is actually really, really simple, right? You eat tangerines and plums and grapes. You eat rye and oats and gluten-free barley and celery and asparagus and cabbage and black beans. However, it's not that hard to get a little more specific and determine whether your kidneys are deficient energetically in the yin or the yang, and then sort of treat them accordingly with energy medicine as well as nutrition, right? So let's talk about it. Yin energy. Yin is responsible for cooling and hydrating the body, right? So if you're yin deficient, the symptoms that might go along with your anxiety include insomnia, night sweats, dry skin, dry eyes, dry mouth, brittle hair. A really, really good supplement, or good couple of supplements for yin energy is chlorella. It's a seaweed. Spirulina, another seaweed or another algae, I guess is what you call it. Those are really, really good for increasing the yin in the kidneys. But as I always say, supplements are there as an added benefit to what you're putting into your body, right? They don't replace. Pills, powders, potions are not a replacement for nutrition. That's why they're called supplements and not replacements. But you can add those supplements to a diet already rich in carrots and grapefruit and celery and cucumbers, blueberries, very beneficial for the kidneys, kidney beans, and watermelon. I'll throw soybeans in there. I'm not a huge fan of soy, but I'll throw soybeans in there with the caveat that you were eating them as close to the plant as possible. So we're talking about soybeans, edamame, right? And we're talking about it being organic and non-GMO. Both of those things are critical if you're going to eat soybeans. But all of those foods, carrots and cucumbers and celery and blueberries and all of those things, are considered cold foods, right? They help you increase your yin, okay? Now, I like to take a multi-pronged approach to everything. So I want to show you some energy medicine for yin. You have these 2 points. They're K27 points. All you do is find your collarbone, which is here. Come to where the collarbone meets. You fill a gap, right? Because you have 2 collarbones. It's not one big bone. Move your hands down just a bit and you'll feel a little divot. It's about an inch. It's different on everyone, right? Tapping these points, these K27 points just below your collarbone, can actually help ease overwhelm and right an energy imbalance. So bring you back into balance. All you do is find that little nook and you can tap while breathing deeply. You can massage. You can also apply essential oils there, or you can use a crystal specifically for the kidneys and place it there as well. I like to use things without tools. Tools are great when you have them available. It's great to layer the energies, but if you can do it without tools, then it makes it accessible to you no matter where you are. So just tap or massage will get the point done. If you want to take it to the next level, you can cross your hands and tap opposite hand. So right hand, left K27 point, left hand, right K27 point, and that will help as well. Now, the flip side of that, the opposite of yin energy, is yang energy, and it's responsible for stimulating and warming up your body. So if your kidneys are deficient in yang energy, then you experience kind of the opposite. You might have diarrhea, low back pain, fatigue. You might feel cold all of the time, right? Generally, these symptoms, when it's a yang deficiency, tend to be worse in the morning and then get better over the course of the day. If this is the case, eating warming foods, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, walnut, quinoa. I got to tell y'all a story about quinoa. For the longest time, I called it quinoa. And I went shopping with a friend many, many years ago. And I was like, yeah, I need to grab some quinoa. And she was like, you mean quinoa? I was like, ooh, yes. My bad. That was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. It's just one of those funny things, right? So every time I say the word quinoa, I think quinoa. But that's another day. And also black beans, right? So if you're deficient in yang, you want to avoid any iced drinks, right? You want to avoid raw foods, cook your foods, right? That's one of those things, people say like raw plant food is the best for everyone. It's really not. That's where that bio-individuality comes into play. It depends on where your human suit is at this moment and where your human suit has been as to what is healthy for you, right? And sometimes that takes some investigation to figure out. But think of cooling foods and know that they will worsen that yin-yang balance if you are deficient in yang, okay? Now, energy medicine for yang. I'm not going to put my foot up here on camera, but if you pretend that this hand is a foot, then, on the ball of your foot, if you go right here in the middle, there is something called the wellspring of life point. It's just the opposite end of the kidney meridian that we were working on up here. So if you're deficient in yang energy, You can just massage this area. You could use a tennis ball and roll your foot around, or a golf ball. You can also use a crystal to do that. And so you can put it on this wellspring of life point. I like to put hematite on mine personally when I'm deficient in yang energy in that direction. Okay, so just massaging this point flips those energies. Other solutions for anxiety other than food and energy medicine are things that help to stimulate healthy kidney function, focusing primarily on those adrenal glands, right? You want to balance the energy and reduce anxiety. Some of my favorite additional tools are apps like Headspace and Calm. They have free versions, right? And if they help you fit meditation into your schedule, right? And it just takes a few minutes, a couple times a day, clearing your mind. It helps transform your entire day. And I'm often not a fan of using an app. So definitely check my free guide on how to meditate. I'll put it in the comments here for if you feel like you just can't meditate or you don't have time. But if you're techie and it'll help you meditate, then definitely use an app. Another option is tapping. So tapping your meridians, which is what we were doing when we were talking about the wellspring of life points and these K27 points, can be super, super beneficial. I've seen it take a pain score from 8 or 9 all the way down to 0. I've seen it take anxiety from 10. Actually, the person that did it with me said her anxiety was at 37 when the scale went to 10, right? And then we brought it down to 6 with just one session, right? So tapping is really, really, really easy. You can do it anywhere. You can do it driving a car, and you don't have to have, you can use a combination of mantras with it, but you don't even have to do that. There is an app called the Tapping Source. You can also reach out to me and I can teach you how to do tapping on your own. Essential oils, always beneficial for anxiety. Orange essential oil is the least expensive, I think, essential oil you can find, and my very, very favorite for anxious feelings. If you have questions about that, I'll put a link in the comments on where I get my oils. There are lots of reputable companies out there. So if you also have a question about which companies are reputable, I'm happy to answer that as well. Even though I have a brand that I use as a certified clinical master of aromatherapy, it's just not ethical for me to say that my company is the only one that's out there. There's a lot. So just let me know if you want to know if your company is reputable or not. So for orange essential oil, you can use that. Super, super cheap. A more expensive brand or blend that I also like is Sacred Mountain. Valor is also a really, really good one. But you just take the oil, drop it in your hand, put a few drops in your hand, and I like to activate it by swishing it around in a figure 8, right? And then you can rub it if you want, cup your nose, and do a scent tent. Just take a few breaths. Inhale deeply and exhale deeply a few times, and it'll just work that right out. You can also take any of the essential oils I've mentioned, orange, valor, juniper, that's another good one, Sacred Mountain, and draw a small figure 8 left to right, just about an inch above your belly button. So it's going to be about this big and an inch above your belly button, and you just draw a small figure 8. If you suffer from kind of a baseline anxiety daily and what you're doing isn't working, try adding that. It'll help to release the energetic bonds, if you will, that tie you to your daily overwhelm and anxiety. Super, super beneficial. One last tip on that. If you feel like the energy work, if you feel like tapping your K27 points fixes it but isn't lasting, meditation fixes it for a minute and then it isn't lasting, then it's likely that you need to balance your minerals, right? So find yourself a good ionic mineral formula. I like Mineral Essence. I'll also put a link to where you can find that. But it helps when your polarity is balanced. That's the energetic charge that your human suit has. Every cell in your body functions off of an energetic charge, a positive and a negative. And that happens through minerals, okay? So by having balanced minerals, you are making your body more receptive to energy work, to nutrition, to physical exercise, to everything, okay? So that's just a quick tip. So if you're struggling with daily anxiety, whether it's part of your autoimmune condition or not, try adding the foods we talked about, try adding the energy medicine we talked about to your day, and it will help. I've also created a free resource for you so you can start your mini autoimmune revolution It's called 5 Steps You Can Take Today to Begin Healing Your Autoimmune Disease. Quick download, 5 simple, sustainable steps that you can take right now that includes changing your mindset. It talks about nutrition, helps you to shift to a healing path. So you can download that. I'll put the information below. And to wrap this up, I would love to hear from you in the comments which foods you plan on adding to your diet. I'd love you to let me know if you've tried any of the techniques that I talked about. And I would love for you just to give me a thumbs up. Click the like button and let me know that you popped on. So thank you so much for tuning in, for watching. If you have a second, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a comment or give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. I hope that you have the most magical day, and I challenge you to leave your world however you can, just a little bit better than you found it when you woke up this morning. Be well.